Yeah, no, definitely. I can imagine that they are really long days, and I've worked in sport as well, so I've worked game days for events in different sports, specifically like rugby league and things like that. And they can be very long days, but they can be very rewarding as well, which you briefly alluded to there. In terms of your responsibilities, but in terms of the South Bay roster and who was on South Bay's rosters this year. There's a lot of talented players like Talen Horton-Tucker, who the Lakers drafted, Zach Norvell Jr. and Costas Antetokounmpo. But there's also players like Gary Payton II, Devontae Caycock, David Stockton, etc., to name a few. It really is a stacked roster this season, and it should be an exciting one, shouldn't it? There is plenty of talent across, the roster, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah, it is, and and that's the tricky part because we do have a lot of vets, and the vets are they know how to play the game really well. Like Gary Payton is obviously, he's just a master at offense, and Stockton is. I was so excited when we got him because I just knew how much of a facilitator he is, and so that sometimes becomes the tough part because you have these vets, and you want to play them. Plus, they deserve to be played, and they want to be played. And then you also have the younger Laker affiliates who both in want to be played and deserve to be played. And as well as that, management will want them to be played because they want to know how well they do. And so that's always the challenging part of any head coach. But this is the better situation to be in, obviously, because you want talent on your team. Last year, we didn't have much talent and we didn't win many games, and so that's not fun. When it comes to this, the only tough part is people understanding that it's sometimes it's about when the team does well, we all do well, and as much as you individually want to do well, that can sometimes take away from the team goals, and sometimes you wanting to do well is not going to work well in your favor anyway. It's just staying patient, stay the course, and even if we have lots of players, guys go up, guys go down. Guys go down meaning with injuries, and there's always somebody who ends up playing who we thought would never play, and they end up being sort of the star of the team maybe. So in the G League you never know, and I think it's a much better situation to be in to have multiple talent or vets on a team and have to decide who you're going to play. Yeah, you'll run into some attitude because obviously everybody wants to play, and it's no matter what team you're on, you're always going to find people who aren't happy with their playing time. Always, always, always. That's an inner battle, to be honest, that each player has to learn to deal with because you're never going to be satisfied. But again, the beauty of the G League is players go up, players go down, and you will always have your opportunity so long as you're ready to shine in that moment. That's the real key of the G League. So I'm very excited for the year.
Yeah, definitely. And from my point of view, anyway, there's a lot of players like Horton Tucker, Norvell Jr., Antetokounmpo, Caycock that I have mentioned that probably would have been on Lakers rosters of years of past, during the rebuild years and things like that. So, when they're down there looking to develop their game, is how do they take it? Are they locked into do they understand that they need to be there at that moment in time to potentially be making the next step in the future? Do they accept that? Do they kind of just take the role given to them? Because I see that Kaycock's been doing very well. He's been getting double doubles, I think, in every single game. But I know that like Horton Tucker's been a little bit streaky as of late, as he's still probably getting used to the professional ranks and in the G League. How do the players take it then when they come in? Because they must all have their eyes set on the NBA. How does that work?
attitudes are sometimes the hardest thing to deal with at this level, because everybody is a star and wants to be a star, wants to make it to the next level, and they have a short fuse on their situation. If they feel like, oh, I'm not getting to the NBA like this, then they're not trusting the situation and they want to leave, and that's unfortunate. I'm not saying that we have anybody like that. Actually, I'm very happy so far. With our team, everybody seems like a good locked in. Um, but it is apparent because, and it has been a problem in the past. I'm not even going to lie about that. It's going to be a problem in everybody's team because everybody again
Mhm.
wants to be up in the NBA, not in the G League. Except me, of course, because I love the opportunities that I'm provided with. The other thing, though, again, I mean, we are very lucky and biased because we share a facility, and not only that, we share one of the newest NBA facilities and probably one of the best NBA facilities, giving us this incredible advantage. Where other G League teams are not so favorable. I mean, only a few have really upgraded. I mean, Oklahoma City, they inherited the Thunder's previous facility. The Stockton Kings inherited Sleep Train Arena, Sacramento's old facility. I can't think of a few others that have it somewhat decent, but I mean, if you're affiliated with Miami, you're gonna go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and that is one miserable place to be. No offense, it's just not very very cold, not much going on out there, and that's a very tough. We actually played them yesterday. Funny enough, and yeah, that's a very tough two-way contract to have because, as you know, these two-way contracts, you're guaranteed time between both teams. Yeah, that means you're going between South Beach, Miami to middle of America, middle of nowhere in snow. That's tough. That's very tough. Whereas for us, you are walking across the hallway. Our chef, the Lakers chef, will still cook you your Lakers meals privately. You still have everything. So there, with us, there really is no need for any people to not feel happy about the situation. We have the greatest situation, but whether people realize that is really up to them. Now, so how people take it. Now, that's the other thing. You know, with the G League, yeah, you have these sort of NBA level players, and we have these vets who've played NBA level or who've been two-way before. And that's the other thing. There's a lot of G League players are two-way material. So sometimes that there's attitude with that, and I think people sometimes feel they deserve two ways or not, or sometimes the two-way feels they should be on the NBA side rather than the G League side. Yeah, it's always going to be there. It just really depends on the individual and what we do as a culture, as a team. And I think that's where Kobe Carr has done his very best to always allow the person to see the situation for what it is, put it into perspective. He does give them chances to present. He gives you your chance to shine, providing you feel like you deserve something, and um, you know you make it work. And again, we have one of the best situations in the whole league. So, there really shouldn't be. It's more of a perspective, but that's always going to be an issue with players. And the reason I keep saying that again for any players listening is understand that your attitude can control so much of your play in the game. Learn to be more appreciative because sometimes our lack of appreciation, and even mine when I was a player, can really hold us back sometimes.
Yeah, and that actually leads on to a group of questions that I do have from the Lakers fan club UK members. Well, a few of them anyway, that managed to draw from them when I did mention that we were going to be doing this podcast episode with yourself. And one of them was by Jonathan Kernan, who has featured on this podcast before. And he says, what advice would you give to a young NBA hopeful that is currently in the G League? What are the most important characteristics to succeed? I mean, you did briefly mention on attitude there being very important, and accepting the role that you're currently in. Would there be any more characteristics that you would recommend that players adopt that, are really hopeful of being in the NBA? I mean, you have been around the G League or the D League for quite a few years now. So, you are relatively experienced, aren't you? Very experienced. So what would you say are the most important characteristics? We've got attitude, and what else?
Embrace the journey, and that was one of our team philosophies last year or the year before. I'm not sure, and it's just really important to embrace the journey and the situation you're in. Now, again, some are in better situations than others, and oftentimes when comparing is the time we'll get most lost with appreciating what we have. So it is hard. It is really hard, but that's why, saying to yourself, embrace the journey, it's what you have to focus on. Or even if you want to replace the word journey with embrace the grind, because it is a grind. The G League is a grind. It's tough because the travel is tough. NBA travel is tough in the sense that it's more of it, but at least you're getting this private plane, fully equipped with free food, and you're catered to all the time. So I mean, you're living the luxurious life, but you're just doing it for the minimum. How many 42 cities, right? So with us, it's less because we play a 53 game schedule, but we're still taking commercial flights, and not only that, not everything is going to be direct because we're going to smaller cities. So quite often, more often than not, we're taking connection flights. So that's a grind for everybody. Very fatiguing, and then on top of that, you have to get on the shuttle bus, take you to the hotel, and then I'm not sure what every team does. We are very lucky as staff. We get our own rooms. Players, unfortunately, have to share. Unless you're an NBA affiliate, you get your own room. But some teams will make their staff even share hotel rooms. But anyway, I mean, that's a grind too. However, on the flip side, it's the camaraderie is amazing. Going on the road, you really start to connect with each other. I prefer the road actually a lot more than I prefer home. I'm way more. I have way more responsibilities at home. Between that and then obviously being married and having a house to take care of, there's always more going on at home. But on the road is when you really sort of connect with the team a little bit more. You sort of see people let loose a little bit more. You have team meals. Those are always fun. And we're all professionals, so it's just nice to have a few drinks here and there. And it's just, the road can be grueling, but at the same time, you love it for what it is, because this is what you do. This is basketball at its purest, because this is what we're doing it for. And like I said, the players are hungry. They're talented, and even better right now. Regardless of what anything, the G League is gaining huge momentum in terms of promotion, in terms of them actually trying to make it a legitimate secondary league. So actually, it's trying to follow sort of what football does, or in Europe, what Europe they do with having second division, club teams where you could. That was this whole idea. They wanted to get rid of the rule where you have to go to college for a year, but now an NBA team can sign a guy and affiliate him with the G League team because they're so young and not prepared for the NBA yet. So that's actually was massive for the D League, and then Gatorade bought it and put a ton of money into it, renaming it the G League, and they've helped sort of boost sponsorship and whatnot. And it's sort of catching on. Some teams still need to step it up with how much they fund their G League teams. And as far as I know, Denver still lacks a team, Portland still lacks a team, and I think New Orleans just acquired uh, Erie by Lake Erie up by the lakes up there. But yeah, so sooner or later, every NBA team is going to have a G League team. So again, the opportunity there is just it's there, and again, players go up, players go down. You just have to stay persistent. The professionals that we're having working in the G League are also amazing. We're starting to have some really talented, young, hungry, multi hat wearing professionals who are you're just wanting to give players their very best and pushing the boundaries. I think the D League was more so low budget. It was this bitter. I don't want to help because I hate my life here. You want to stretch yourself, sort of thing. But now we are actually providing. We're looking for ways to provide elite services to these players. We're looking to make it a mini NBA, and I love it. What we did at South Bay was really set our own tone. But nowadays, I look around the league and I start to see, oh, okay, I kind of like what that strength coach is doing, or I kind of like what that equipment manager has done with his locker room. You take up little ideas from people here and there because it's an improving league very quickly. And so, regardless of the situation you're in as a player, just stay the course, embrace the grind, embrace the journey, learn from everybody because everybody is there to sort of offer something in terms of knowledge. And like I said, the opportunity's there. You just have to be ready to shine.
Yeah, no, definitely, and as it does show the importance of the G League for the development of these young players if they do stay tuned in, and the rewards are there to be had, aren't they? Because there's a lot of people behind the scenes like yourself that are very highly skilled and are willing to put in the time to develop these players, and well, not just develop them as players, but to develop them as people as well. And it sounds like there is really good camaraderie there, and there really is a good setup, which will continue to grow as the NBA start to invest more in the G League. And like you said, with Gatorade pumping more money into it, it should just get better and better and stronger and stronger. So it is really exciting to see. I know that a lot of people that I know that follow the Lakers have been paying attention to the G League and South Bay a lot more this season, and that's myself including as well. I find myself checking all the results after every game and looking into all the stats and things like that. So one question I did have personally was Jordan Caroline is currently injured at the moment. And he did look good in summer league. How's his recovery progressing? How's he doing? He is very talented.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've actually been spending a lot of time with him. We've been lifting a lot, and because me in particular, because he was actually doing his rehab physiotherapy offsite, because he was sort of he was good he was good in summer league. The Lakers signed him to the training camp, but he was already injured or had his foot surgery, so they cut him with the intention of him playing with us. So there was because he was sort of in between two teams. They just had his rehab done, at an offsite hospital. But I personally have been working with him in the weight room, and he's looking really good. Not right now. I'm actually excited because he's a very raw, talented sort of body, and when we first started, you could just tell like all of his muscles are just trying to fire. Now, what that means in my world is not very good. I'm trying to get you to more often than not, slow down, understand positions, understand weight distributions and all that. And for somebody that wants to just go, which he's great at doing as a player even, in the weight room, sometimes that becomes a bit of a messy show. So nowadays, he's actually really now learning to sort of understand my cues, and his balance is getting a lot better. We were non-weight bearing for 6 weeks, so we had to do everything seated, half kneeling positions. And only now are we actually sort of hitting the legs and doing plyo, box jumps, and different things to test his ankle strength. But now he's looking really good. Our head coach is excited about him because of his the way he plays, his sort of hustle or grit, the dog in him, as they would say. So the fact that he has that to offer and he has that potential, and that now he's sort of really getting stronger, because he also didn't have much strength coaching in the past. You know, he was very much just we just sort of did our own thing, or our basketball coach was out, made us do whatever. So for him to now sort of truly be getting stronger, or understanding his strength better, understanding how to control his strength better, I'm excited for that progress. And he's not quite there yet. He's still sort of doing, let's say, the change of direction phase, non-contact sort of on the court stuff. So he's able to work drills and such, but not ready for any defense just yet. But we are excited to have him back within hopefully early December sometime. Yeah, but personally very excited as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I did a piece on him not long ago where I looked into his game, and he does look like a very versatile scorer that can be, lights out on his day. And I've just got his stats up here. In the summer league, he averaged 16 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists on 50% shooting. So he really is a talent. But another one that I would like to get your opinion on, really the last question, so we can. So we're not keeping you for too much longer. It's about Talen Horton-Tucker because, you know, I, I believe it's his birthday today. He got drafted by the Lakers at 18 years old, Horton-Tucker did, and he's 19 today. And he's a very unique player, isn't he? So he's 6'4", so he isn't exactly that tall in terms of basketball, height, but he possesses a very large frame. He weighs about 238 pounds, I've read, and then he has a huge wingspan of 7'1". How's he looked early on in the season, and what do you think of him as a prospect?
Because he also had this sort of I don't know what it was, the official thing, but something on his foot that sort of came up that scared doctors, and so they had a very sort of slow progression of keeping him not, again, sort of non-weight bearing for a long time, to only sort of spot shooting for a while, to, again, very slowly progressing him. So he missed Lakers training camp, and then pretty much his first integration into full court 5-on-5 basketball was with our training camp when it started dead end of October. And then so previously, since he entered the building as a draft prospect, I had not seen him run up and down the court, and that was in May. So he'd obviously been very much kept out of full contact or whatnot, precautionary, and they've done their good job with that. But regardless, he's actually done a lot better than I expected, because I thought he would struggle even with the G League. Just with the how talented the G League is, and he's actually shown that he can definitely. He's also got that bulldog in him. He knows how to go downhill. But playing experience, exactly. I mean, he's 19 years old, and that's where the G League, you have to learn to be an adult in your playing, because if you don't play smart, teams would just kill you, and that's just easy for them. You at the G League, that's where it's next level. You can't just rely on your offensive skills. You really have to play smart, or else the other team is just going to be able to figure you out. So that's where some of these younger guys on our team they're in that struggle phase, and you see it every year. Sometimes you see it with the Division One player that thought he would be able to get into the NBA and then thought he would just kill at the G League level. They often get very shocked a few games in when they see how hard it is at this level. But I still think Talen's doing great. And like I said, he knows how to go downhill. He knows how to be a bulldog. It's just once he learns to make better decisions, once those options aren't there, that's when we're going to be even more dangerous. Because both him and Gary Payton, I mean, they can get to the rim anytime.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Horton-Tucker definitely does look an interesting prospect. So it'll be very interesting to see his development throughout the season and see if he potentially does go up to the Lakers as well, depending on what happens as the season progresses, because it is a long season. But in the meantime, we've all got our eyes wedged on the South Bay Lakers, and the attention of the team has improved, dramatically this season. And like I said, when I get out there in February, I'll be looking to get to a game. So it all attention is shining on South Bay at the moment, and the exciting team that is there. That's all the questions that I have for you for this week's episode. Do you want to add anything else?
But yeah, I just wanted to add, like, on that. Yeah, I mean, it's great to even see ourselves because back in the day, no one really cared about the LA Defenders or anything like that. And again, we're trying to make the G League a big thing and all that. There's promotion behind it, and so nowadays, as far as locally here in LA, there isn't a Laker game that gets broadcast without a mention of the South Bay Lakers by the commentators. Those are the local ones, but then even the national ones on the national televised schedule on ESPN and TNT here. Those commentators often mention, such and such from the G League, such and such from this team, that team, so that's been huge, because what they say, 47% of the NBA now has at one point played in the G League. That's great. Because again, it just shows you the potential. It's not just a development league where the players don't really have a chance in the NBA. No, some of these guys just need a bit of this sort of stepping stone, and then next thing they're ready to play. And sometimes it is just nice to even just see somebody just get that one-time shot. For us, we had Andre Ingram, and maybe it's not a one-time shot. He might get it again, but for him to get called up 2 years in a row for a 10-day contract, it was just wonderful to see for a guy that's been in the G League for over 10 years now. And then I would say, to my first point, we have Alex Caruso. Oh my goodness! I mean, he was just the best two-way player. In terms of attitude, there was. I mean, his attitude never changed from being moved up, moved down, and he was moved up and down a lot. And he was just the same level-headed guy. And he just became this fan favorite, obviously, being dunking on people and whatnot. And now I think somebody painted a mural for him in the streets of LA of him dunking on numerous NBA stars. And it's just incredible for someone like that to sort of rise up. And in midsummer, he was contractless. He was actually one of the later players to get signed to the LA team. So he was actually, there was nothing happening for him for a while, and his two-way contract had expired, but he wasn't gonna re-sign with the G League anyway. He was sort of beyond that, and even then, early in Lakers training camp, this is something our coach Kobe Carl said, and I don't mind sharing this, is that early in training camp, the Lakers coaches weren't necessarily thinking too much of Caruso. And Kobe was just like, "Oh, just give it time. You'll end up loving him because he does all the things you want on the court. He's what a coach needs in terms of being in the right place, right time, right decisions. Yeah, I mean, that's not perfect, but surely but slowly he's made it into consistent playing time already this year. And as coming from a South Bay player, I mean, I think it's great. It's great. I'm very excited for the continued growth of the G League.
Definitely, and we really do appreciate you coming on the podcast to show your well, to share your viewpoints and your experiences and things like that. It really does provide a really great insight to myself, who I have briefly spoken to you before at the practice facility, but also to the listeners as well. It provides a really great insight. So I really do appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and hopefully we could even get you on in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We'll talk next time if I'm ever when I'm ever around that side. But it looks like first off you'll be over here, so just let me know when you come, and we'll get you to that game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. I mean, whilst I've got you here, do you want to give yourself a shout out, tell people where they can find you? Do you want to plug any social medias or websites that you've got or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been on a bit of a social media break just because of the initial start of season is just so crazy. But if anybody does want to reach out to me, the Instagram is my favorite means of communicating to anybody about basketball or movement related things. You can find me at Big Mish Mish underscore MVMNT. So not movement, but abbreviated MVMNT. So Big Mish underscore movement. Um, you can find me on Instagram. I haven't actually posted in a while, but I do like posting my sort of fascinations and such with exercise and whatnot. And people tend to give me a lot of good feedback. So I'm due to get back on the game and start posting again. I've just been on a bit of a break. But Instagram is probably the way to contact me. I would love to get in contact with anybody that has questions or wants to, ask me whatever it's like to work in the NBA from the UK, trying to get over here. I know it's tough, but hit me up. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And to the listeners, do give Misha a follow and do check him out because he is a great guy and it's been great to myself and Lakers Fan Club UK been giving us time and we really appreciate him coming on.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure, Matt. I really appreciate you having me. It was great to have you stop by that day. I feel it was a blessing. It was meant to be. So I'm glad we got to do this, and I thank you for your time.
Definitely. And as always, to the listeners, thanks for listening. We're on all of the main podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Google, etc. Be sure to subscribe on your preferred platform and give us a follow over on Twitter at Lakers Fan Club UK. Also, check out our website, which is www.lakersfanclubuk.com. And thanks for listening. Until next time.